Absolutely. And yeah, our senses were constructed to perceive the construct only.
Yes.
And that's what we're interacting with. And it gets back to some of the earliest studies of cognition where scientists were taking a person, they were placing their arms like this, they were touching this arm, they'd freak out. Then they'd say, okay, put that arm down. They'd place a fake arm there and they'd touch that and they'd feel it. They were blindfolded, they could feel it.
Mm,
Why? Because they have that.
yeah.
They know what it feels like. It's connecting to something they have experience with. You have awareness of it. Now, my point though is again, if our senses were only designed to sense the construct, there's been something else added. And this gets to Barry Fitzgerald's work,
Mm,
right? Which I can't go much into, by the way.
yeah, yeah.
Something has been added.
Yeah.
Something has been added.
Yeah, it has.
And whatever that is, the phenomenon is in
Well,
contact.
you're right, and can't go into too much of that, but
I know.
it's a little bit frustrating, but we have to now consider the fact is that human species, when we're born, what if there's already a part within us in acceptance of the phenomena? In other words, it's an ingredient, it's been added to
Yeah.
the soup of life where we're already part and parcel, we're already fused with the phenomena
Mhm.
unknowingly. And that is directly a fashion. It's directly a construct
Mhm.
of something being applied, which allows them, which basically is not like it probably how it used to be. I'm not too sure how they used to do it. Maybe it was very forceful in back in them days. But how many people can be under the influence now without being possessed?
Oh
Because
yeah.
at one time it used to be, oh well, he's under the influence because it's possession, and possession shows not only that there's paranormal disturbances in the environment of the phenomena of him or her who's adversely affected, but
Mhm.
there are certain key things to find within the exorcism, it's being possessed. But now, how many levels are they of possession? It is not just it's like a switch, it's on, it's possession,
No, no,
it's
no.
off.
Right.
You know, is there different
Mhm.
levels, and are we attuned to these different levels? And this is the problem because we've got so many different variations that
Mhm.
the tackling of such things, the forceful coming in, and the exorcism of taking place is that it's not. It could deal probably with it. The problem is that is identifying it. And now with the rules
Correct.
against psychology saying, oh no, these are all aspects of psychological, things that are taking place. Well,
Hmm.
yeah, but it's physical and psychological. Yeah, there are aspects of it. You could go and see somebody who's got profound things taking place to them and say, yeah, no, 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 it's not exorcism, it's not possession, it's all psychological and physiological conditions. Let it go.
Yeah.
The problem is though, is that even that can be guised at the lower level if there were various levels now. It's not simply that, yes, you're possessed, it's an exorcism. No, it
Hmm.
isn't. There are levels in between where the
Right.
church and societies won't go. You just won't go.
Wann bist du überhaupt hier?
Ich hab Recht dazu, dass ich in dem Wald rein bin. Ich trag dir die Rotznase noch so lang, bis es krepiert. Die saublöde Weib. Für uns gibt's kein Zurück. Nee!
You know?
Levels of incarnation. Yeah. So Ruth Montgomery hypothesized the walk-in theory, where you could have an individual who has had no psychological issues in their history. And all of a sudden, there's a walk-in entity that wears them as an avatar interfaces. Hi, Steve, I'm Barry or Joey or whatever. And then all of a sudden it leaves me and you're back to Nathaniel. That's a walk-in. Now, Malachi Martin hypothesized something that I do believe deals with hybridism in a way where he hypothesized the idea of perfect possession.
Perfect possession. Okay, I'm not too sure
Oh
about
my
that. What
God,
what is
Steve.
that? What is
This is
perfect possession?
chilling. So, where the memory of the entity has merged with the matter of the human perfectly,
Oh,
and you wouldn't even know it. Exorcisms probably won't work. whatever this is, it has fused its will with the biological avatar. And we've seen in one of his case studies where he's seen this is like, okay, you have a church deacon, right? Or a
Yeah.
physician who for 40 plus years, faithful to his wife, good credit, nice car, whatever,
Yeah.
good reputation,
Yeah.
loves people. People have him. Next thing you know, 3 or 4 people are missing. And now when they go back and talk to him, completely different person.
Well,
Had
this
always been that. Yeah.
is really interesting because you know what? There's a lot of terminology going around these days, and it's not been going on since the 80s, actually,
Mhm.
that they are with us, they are amongst us. Now, the fact is that people used to think, oh, so they're just shape shifting into humans and they're pretending to. No, I think they're
Mhm.
occupying, lecturing about some of this stuff when a strange woman just comes up from nowhere and she looks strange. She feel when I say feel strange, your body like, "Ugh, what the
I've
hell?"
seen them.
Just stepped right in front of me, and she's just said, "You shouldn't be talking about what you're talking about." That's all
Hmm.
she said. But it was enough to alert my mechanisms inside went, oh my God, into alert mode. There was something. So now when we talk about, sort of shape shifting in these aliens, what they actually occupy and look through the
Yes.
eyes of man. And if that is the case, when people have said to me in the past, oh, why don't they just come down and land on the White House lawn? I said, well, they don't need to. They're already in
That,
there, aren't they? And
that,
this is it. This people want, they don't realize people just want this certainty. Oh, yeah, come and land on the White House. They're never going
they
to
don't
do
even
that.
have to.
They
They
don't
don't have
need to
to.
do that. And the phenomena wants to be like that. It doesn't want to land on the White House lawn. It wants to do skullduggery and the things, that's what it likes to do. This is why we're never going to get that. Don't worry about one landing on the White House lawn. There, I assure you, they are already in there somewhere, you know, infiltrating at the
Exactly.
highest and the darkest places.
When I hear people use that line, it's to me, it's like that's just kind of lazy.
Yeah.
Again, I say that, but it really is because it's like you don't really know the phenomenology.
No.
We want disclosure. Okay, disclosure is most likely already happened. We're in contact with something.
Oh,
Something
yeah.
is here,
Yeah.
and that's what annoys me. I'll give you a story. One of mine, really weird. This has been about 12 years ago now. I was engaged, and I was in the middle of a Walmart. I was walking out to my car, and this Walmart was right next to the Wright Pat Air Force Base, where the Collins Elite used
Yeah.
to be back in the day and all of that. Well, I'm walking to my car, and a woman in a Walmart vest, she has her name tag on. I've never met her in my life.
Mm.
Walks right up to me as she's walking out, and she goes, Nathaniel. And I go, ugh. Hey, how are you? I'm like, oh, maybe I know you. And I realized I had no idea who she was.
Yeah.
She goes, I have something in the back of my car I want to show you. She said, and I tensed up.
Mm.
Walls go up. She goes, don't be
Yeah.
afraid. Do not be afraid. I want to show you something. I said, absolutely not. I get back in my car. I pick up my fiance. We go across the street to the mall.
Yeah.
And I knew that was weird.
That.
So we get Chick-fil-A. We're sitting down, eating Chick-fil-A. A lady sits down with her daughter, looks at me, starts up a conversation instantly. You do know I work for Wright Pat Air Force Base. I said,
Oh.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is weird already. I was freaked out. She
Oh,
goes,
yeah.
yeah, did you know that we have UFOs there? We have a lot of things there, sir.
Oh.
You wouldn't believe it.
Mm.
Right? And I'm going, oh, no, 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 no. I'm getting the heck out of here.
Yeah.
Somebody give a thumbs up. Was that you?
No, it's not me. It's not me, buddy. It's not
What in the
me.
world? That's
It's
weird.
not me. These things happen.
That's
It's not me.
crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, that's weird. But yeah, I just I didn't know that lady from Adam. She knew my name. And I remember telling Ellie, I said, we got to get out of here right now. There's just something very weird. And I'm glad I never went to the car. Who knows what could have happened?
No, it's so strange, and and I do believe there were incidents where, and people have reported this, where it seems the intelligence that seems to know you from within an individual
Of course.
is
Absolutely.
transferable from one person to another. When somebody else had completely come up and continue the conversation that this other person had weeks ago as if it's
Mhm.
the same person, but it's not the same person. So
Mm-mm.
it's like remember that film? I don't know. I love that film. And what was it called? It was called Fallen with Denzel Washington.
Oh, time
He's
is
on my
on
side.
my
Yeah.
side. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well,
Wow, it's a great movie.
this followed that path of the transference that an
Yes, yes.
intelligence can transfer itself from one individual to another. I
The
don't think it's as simple
fragment.
as that, but I think if an individual is going under this occupation, then there is. It formulates
Mhm.
an empty cockpit through the return and backwards and forth. Maybe so, because how can somebody just come up and say something strange, and you think, oh, your spider senses are going. You think,
Absolutely.
yeah, no, I don't think so. And then a week or two later, somebody in another state or whatever just comes up a
Mhm.
random individual and continues that conversation
Oh
as
my
if it's
God.
the same individual. I've
So
had
this
things like
is
this. Report it.
so fascinating.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so possession has been a fascination of mine. Not in the sense that I'm in love with it or anything, but it is fascinating the way it works. There was an exorcist I knew whose name was John Fitzhuber, and so he grew up in the States. Not, no, he grew up till about 14 in the States, went to Africa as a missionary's kid. He came back from Africa and they trained him in all the spiritual warfare. It's fascinating. So he's at a church, walks by, I could think a 16-year-old girl, American girl, white girl. She tenses up and starts speaking fluent French to him.
Hmm.
Jonathan, Jonathan, do you remember me? And it was on, right?
Wow.
Jonathan looks back at it,
Hmm.
speaks in French. I do remember you. I cast you out of a blind man in Ghana in
Oh,
1995. Those stories get me pumped up, Steve. I'm like, oh, boom. But you're exactly right. The fragmentation of consciousness. It gets back to Fritz Kramer's, not Fritz Kramer, the Red Fez. Yeah, Fritz Kramer, I think it is.
hmm.
Um, anyways, he's talking about possession in Africa, and at one point he was given a tour in a specific village, and they take him to the village priest, and the village priest is taking a knife and filleting his flesh to the point that it's complete scarred. It's just
Yeah.
scars.
Yeah.
And this is fascinating. And he goes, well, what is the priest doing? And the priest said, well, he is possessed by an ancestor, and the ancestor's trying to make him in their image,
Ah, right.
trying to change the
Yes.
physiology and physiognomy of the body. But possession again, it can be the fragmentation of whatever these beings are.
Yeah.
The Ursuline hauntings, it was about a convent, a Catholic convent,
Yes.
where the nuns were being visited by their favorite priests. The only
Yes.
problem is these individuals were deceased,
Hmm.
priests that were dead. Of course,
Yeah.
that's one of the red flags. Obviously,
Of
you're not going to
course.
be.
Yeah.
Well, next thing you know, the very next day, they are possessed by these entities
Hmm.
that appeared to be the priest. And so that's when they lined him up and they realized that singular entity had spread its consciousness in one body, another body, and they're looking at three possessions, one
Yes.
entity.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I know
Really
it
weird.
is. It starts to get very problematic, and when you hear about some of the most modern things about circles of information, if we take some
Mhm.
people like Tim Taylor for an example, or Tyler,
Mhm.
you want to go off the book which Diana Pasulka wrote, but
Mhm.
Tim Taylor is above the individuals. Doesn't have to show any credentials, just walks through any airport.
Yeah.
He's looked after. Now, the information that he knows and has is of great significance because they
Mhm.
treat the phenomena differently. They treat it like godly beings,
Mhm.
which you should pay homage to and recognize for all the efforts that they have done to help us in technology and humanity. And we talked earlier about steering history. They're
Yes.
still doing it, but they get us to do it for them, and oh
Mhm.
yes, it's achievable. We now managed to do this. We know that everything after the 1970s, 80s went black. This is why we see the technological curve like this, and it just goes shum, because they don't want to share any further information about not about the technology. It's how they damn well got it. Where
Yep.
did the information
Right.
come from to get that technology?
And who went missing in order to get it?
Mm,
I just threw a wrench in it, didn't I, Steve?
you
That's
did,
missing
you did.
411.
You
Who would
really, really
miss?
do. Yeah, because they always tend to be targeting to, numerous different individuals, but these individuals are usually pretty scholars or have
Mhm.
some type of physical deficiency of some sort.
No way.
This
Yeah.
this is crazy weird, and it's a possibility that the phenomena just it's a phenomena that stalks in these
Mm.
environments, and it's a phenomena that can just engulf you.
Yeah.
You just don't exist. It just engulfs you within a second,
Gone.
and you are gone. And it's profound. And you know what? There's even the police which are even don't talk about this stuff because it's just
Mhm.
too out there. They're in key areas, of course, and these key areas, that's what fascinates myself and Barry, of course, going to these places. But it just goes to show that there's got to be an operative, and there's an operation of a various different form of knowledge at that level where Tim Taylor is.
Mhm.
That is not into disclosure. That is not about disclosure. The disclosure thing is let all the guys well down below
Mhm.
operate that hypothesis. Let them carry on and operate this hypothesis like, oh yes, disclosure, UFOs coming from other planets and da 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 da. They'll be at it forever
Yeah.
because the real stuff is right up there, and that can't be disclosed because how do you even get there? So, it's the effort is keep the children fed just
Yes.
with the scraps because they will keep going at it and going, and this is where we are. We're going at it and going at it, and we're still going at it now. And the preposterous thing is that we're not actually moving forward, just running around in circles. We're not actually taking
Yeah,
any
I
steps forward.
know.
If you actually analyze it, you go, actually, no, we're still going around chasing our tails. We're not getting anywhere nearer. It's designed that way. But just to finish on, I wanted to mention 12 years ago, during NHI communication experiments, there was some intelligences that turned up, which I think I may have referred to them before. They referred to themselves as lightertons.
Yes, I've heard that.
Okay.
Yeah, from you. Yeah.
Now, it's been 12 years, and now they're back from last week. 12 years later, they're back.
Interesting.
Now, when they first turned up on scene, it was through the NHI communications, and we thought we'd achieved really good NHI communications, which was better than your spiritual communications in the sense of, if you want to say energy, if you want to way piercing through the veil of noise to be able to be sharp, clear, and precise, and you think you've nailed it
Mhm.
until the lightertons turned up. These beings, as they said, that of light that see and know all. They see and know all. These things, when they turned up, shocked us at first because they bellowed through tremendously, outweighing any spiritual, outweighing any other NHI communications that we were having. It was like you've just plugged in a super amp and turned it up, and
Mhm.
everything else was drowned. And in fact, they overspoke NHI communications, these things, and to the point where you can't even hear what these things are saying because it's just been drowned out by the power of these things. They seemingly controlled the situation. They would lock it down. In other words, they would end communication sessions literally by just coming in and they've shut you down.
Oh,
And it was
God.
what was strange is that the normal practice of going back to NHI, because it's a bit different when you're doing seance and spiritual stuff. You got to build the circle, you got to build the energies, you got to have the right people, you got to have the right links, and it's a process you got to keep building. You do when it's spiritual, if you want to call it spirits, that type of communication. But when it comes to NHI, when you punch through and get through to all the poltergeisty stuff and lights and displays and manifestations, you push forward and by request, you end up into an area of NHI communication. That is like a phone, it's off the hook. I mean, if we were doing this in part of an experiment, we could walk away for 3 weeks and come back and literally you're back there straight away. No building. It's like the phone is off the hook, ready.
Mhm.
That communication is built like this conduit. And that doesn't seemingly dissipate very easily, to be honest, when it comes to NHI. I think that's down to them. I think it's down to them to construct this conduit because
Hmm.
it's their path through. Not so much for us, but I think it's them. I think they build this very strong conduit. Now, what was interesting is that these steel lightertons, whatever these things turn up, they even shut that down. The average, you could say, NHI communications, asking questions, getting bits and bobs. These come along, that's that. It's like you're the naughty kids, you shouldn't be doing, or we're in control. There was a
Yeah, the adults
hierarchy.
are here now. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
absolutely.
Makes you feel like, oh, right, the big boys are here. Why are the big boys just turned up? You know, what has caught their attention? So back then, we only be able to ask a few questions before they just forget it. We're not worthy of talking to you guys, sort of a thing. And they wouldn't really share much, apart from the fact that they are beings of light that see and know all and have the capabilities of just stopping you. So what happened was when they came, because like I say, it was always you could just go back and you're back to NHI communication straight away. Not when these guys came. When these guys turned up and it shut everything down, you try to communicate NHI, nothing. You're not getting nothing. You think, okay, this is because of what's happened, and this has happened a couple of times, 2 or 3 times. It's always them. Come along. You're not doing it anymore.
Mhm.
It was like weeks later. You had to keep going back. Anybody there? Nobody there. We'll be back next week. You know what I mean? It was like that. That's how it
Yeah.
was, Nathaniel. It was like it's strange. We've gone from being able to have instant communication with NHI because the conduit. I think what they did is they broke the conduit down.
Absolutely. Amplified their own, broke the others.
Exactly. I think that's what they did. But over a period of time, we ended up after 3, 4 weeks sneaking a little bits in, and eventually it starts to build that again, that conduit. They disappeared 12 years ago. They turned up. They turned up last week. It's been 12 years. And you know what? It was exactly the same. It was like, yes, there was communications taking place, and then boom, these things come in. You overspoke. You can literally, they actually and we thought there was really good communication. They come in and overspeak them. We're in control.
Wow.
We do this. That they kind of, they back off. The Lightertons are there now. I thought, okay, we're just going to get 1 or 2 things from them, and they're going to vanish again for another 12 years or whatever. No, different this time. They showed interest because last time it was like, yeah, you're the naughty kids, you shouldn't be doing this, da 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 da. Yes, we're these guys, and go.
Mhm.
This time they're showing interest. So now I've been geared 2 days ago
Mhm.
to put about 20 questions together for them, and I'm sat here. Yeah, because I know how tricky they can be. I know how one-line answers they can give where you just kind of don't understand. Like that one when we got from normal NHI about heaven for those that
Mhm.
make it. I mean, what the hell, you know? So I'm trying to ask questions in a certain way where the information is more deliverable and understandable, rather than some
Mhm.
type of tricky, unknown answer that you can't really work out. But now I'm faced with, well, over the next day or two, I've got to put 20 questions together and get this out to the table so that these things can be asked and see what comes of that. But
Mhm.
just 12 years, and we never asked for it. 12 years later, they suddenly turn up on the just out of the blue. No idea what these things are. I can't find no references to lightertons. I don't even know how it's spelt, be honest with you.
Right.
I've talked with a few people. Some people said, oh, well, I wonder if it means light beings. And this, that, and the other. And I'm saying, well, it's okay. You might saying this, that. I've never. I suppose it's actually quite interesting that you haven't found terminologies of certain things before.
Right, right. Because it usually we have found them, right? And you go
Yeah,
back and they're
it's usually the
completely different
opposite.
or something. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So all I
Wow.
could do at this moment in time is say, all right, okay, it's interesting that they've turned up. Why now? Why 12 years later? I mean, it literally is 12 years. and why they're saying what they're saying, and why do they seemingly want to interact now? Why they didn't do it first time around, I do not know. So intriguing times again, 12 years later, but we'll have to see. I'll have to just let you know how that goes. The questions are going to be formulated over the next 48 hours to see what we get back from them. But I have put a few interesting ones in there, which because I'm just trying to get answers, you know.
Mhm.
But I don't know how truthful those answers would be anyway. But then we'd have to say, well, maybe there is some truth to them, but it's just down to hit and miss and which ones are right, which ones are not. But that's where we currently are. These lightertons, and they're back again after 12 years, and no idea why and what
Uh,
actually what did they want and who are these things or what are these things? Is it part of a hierarchy? Who
mhm.
knows? I just don't get. I don't know. So, but interesting. At least we could manage
Absolutely.
that communication can actually happen. And it's like you're
Right.
beyond your normal NHI. It's like you got NHI, which are usually a little bit electronic, and they come through and they tell you little things. But these things are a whole different level. I'm thinking, okay, all right, well, in for pound, in for pen. Let's just see. I'm going to tread very carefully, of course, because I don't
Mhm.
know what these things are.
Yeah. How did Jesse go? Real quick. You can edit this
Jesse
part
went.
out.
Jesse went very. It was all questions. The problem with
Yeah.
Jesse is that he tries to push and get as much information out as you possibly can. There was a lot I
Yeah.
couldn't tell him because it's
Right.
like I have actually got absolute 17 NDAs at the moment. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous, because and it's not like some of this information. I think to myself, it'd be nothing for us. But it's the people that are in control. Say, "Oh no, we're not yet, not yet." So it's just like a waiting
Yeah.
game. But I couldn't say some of the things. But you know what? I talked with him. I talked about your work. I talked about my work. I talked about,
Wow. Thank you.
how we're putting pieces together in a
Yeah.
different fashion. And he was very intrigued. But he's young. He's a young lad. He's got
Yeah.
a long way to go. But he's got the mind for it. But I don't. Yeah, I just think to myself, don't dive deep yet. You're gonna have to. You're gonna have to. I said,
Yeah.
look, listen to Nathan's work more. Listen to Barry's more. Listen to mine. Get an understanding before you dive deep into this, because I tell you, you'll let a wall so hard you will confuse yourself. But digest it slowly.
Absolutely.
And he was fascinated because there's nobody else talking about it, and you're not, and
Yeah.
nobody else like you, me, and Barry are doing that. And he's really intrigued because he's hearing rumors on the outside that this is
What?
kind of little things. And I'm thinking, okay. And he didn't tell me much. And he said, oh, right. Oh, all right. Interesting.
All
But
right,
it's
buddy.
good,
I'm
buddy.
glad to see you up and running, man. Let me know if you need anything from me, and I
Yeah,
look forward to next week.
I will do, buddy. I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
All right, brother.